factor that made you conclude this is the idea that's resonating with people and this is what we're going to explode and invest more money in?
A lot of it is gut. It's just seeing how people react. Seeing how people react to the work. So we don't have any one specific metric that we look at. We look at what's happening in the community with buzz, how any number of ways, and just say, well, that seems to be making people react and getting conversation. So let's try something new. Let's try another spot report. And then let's try something else. So we don't have one metric that we follow. We follow many metrics and then combine them and go, what do you think we have here? So I don't have, I mean, a lot of what we do is not science. It's art. It's just a feel. Yeah, it is. So, you know, but there's a lot of people who can do that. I mean, we would love to be able to say this is the thing that'll work. We've not seen any kind of metric that allows us to do that at this point. We use a lot of metrics and then use our intuition to get to decisions.
Sorry? I have a question for David. I work for an insurance. Sorry. I'm Marco Willemsen. I'm from Holland. And I work for an insurance company. And I was wondering what your thought is on this. How do you get brand engagement when you sell low or no interest products? I mean, all the examples that you see that are high involvement products and not low involvement.
Okay, so the question is, how do you get brand engagement for low engagement items, right? That came up yesterday. The Intuit example with the tax community, I thought was kind of a. I mean, I don't know if that's an anomaly. That's a one-off, but you know, I think one tactic. I used to work for one of our clients was a B2B client. The client was called Granger, and all they sold was industrial supplies, so kind of low interest. And the value that was provided was through. We worked 4 years on the website experience. And basically, and they were one of the only companies in the B2B space that was looking at the Amazons of the world. All the other B2B companies were doing, they were basically designing their systems in more of a B2B way instead of versus a consumer way. So I think, you know, to answer your question, I think that if you figure out a way to provide value, and that could be, you know, if it's insurance, that could be providing the best insurance information. That could be, you know, maybe potentially your website providing the best experience to actually get quotes, online quotes, things of that nature. I think those are ways to get engagement. You know, you can actually use the interactive medium to. That's where you have an advantage, because if your company, you're competing against other companies that maybe have been more successful at presenting themselves as a sexy brand, but you're offering more substance through your digital channel, that can tend to help engagement. I know that directly answers your question, but that's the best way I can answer it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, a question for Erich. Hi.
Hi.
We know you since Hamburg some years ago, and we make a lot of advertising for your agency in Italy. We wrote a book about non-conventional marketing, and your case history is one of in the book. And thank you, because you always seem very humble, but you say really great and strong things. You know, you talk about the small ideas, but we think they are very big ideas, but with a small budget probably. My question is this: how did you promote the Whopper Sacrifice Facebook application? How was the media supporting the campaign?
It was mostly online it was traditional banners, and then you know, blogs. Nothing too too intensive. It was mostly you know. And we also had Facebook was very much involved in the planning of that. So it's the Facebook community that just exploded the thing. It was the use of that social network that exploded it, and it was a very controversial idea. I mean, which is why it was pulled off Facebook. And it wasn't just an ad; it was something that a lot of people got upset about. either for privacy issues or for issues of, you know, I just got defriended. So that combination made it explode. You know, so it didn't need a whole lot of media to do that because the idea was so controversial.
Hi, my name is Telly Morgan. I'm Director of Strategic Planning at Norton Agency. And I had a question for Steve and Erich. We've been mentioning small, flexible, smart ideas, basically. And well, there has been a lot of, I mean, last year and the year before, the whole thing was about 360 campaigns and, you know, like bombarding you on TV and on print and online and orchestrating the whole thing, you know, in a very powerful way. Do you think that in the context of recession, customers are particularly sensitive in a positive way? They're responding more positively to brands and advertisers that have maybe understood the need to touch back, I mean, to reconnect and go back to smaller scale campaigns or ideas that are closer to where they are and to their to where their conversations are hosted, like Facebook? Or, I mean, is there a backlash in the customer's mindset, do you feel, against big, powerful campaigns coming from big advertisers?
Yeah, it's a good question, and there's a couple of things. One is, I think if it's not entertaining or not useful, yes, there's going to be a backlash. I think if it is very entertaining and useful, then there won't be a backlash. The whole 360 thing, we work with some clients where everything that comes out, or most of everything that comes out, no matter what media it is very consistent in tone and manner. But what we try to do with a lot of our brands, and are trying to move some of our brands to, and we do with Burger King, is to use different media to talk in different ways. We feel that the idea is the number one most important thing. You shouldn't try to fit an idea that works for, let's say, radio into print, that you should do the right idea for print. And we see it as a conversation. So if I'm talking to David, and I'm standing here, and I say my piece here, and then I move over here and say the same thing again. I'm having a conversation with him. Eventually, David's going to get very sick of me doing that, just moving in place and saying the same thing. What we feel is that we say different things, just like a conversation you'd have with a person. I'm saying different interesting things about my brand, ways to look at my brand, ways to talk about my brand to David, and he becomes much more engaged and interested. And he might dismiss something that I say right here. He might get pissed at me. He might say, I don't believe that. That's ridiculous. But then I move over here and say, well, but we've got this, and this is how we feel about this, and you should talk about this. So it allows us to change the tone, to change what we're talking about, to try different levels of tension. It's not consistent. The brand we try to keep consistent, but we feel consumers can understand a brand that comes at them in many different ways. We think the time of being very consistent about a message against the consumer is over. We'd much rather be multidimensional. So that's.
I just want to add one thing to that. It was interesting as you were saying that. That kind of brings me back to the distinction I was trying to make between messages and interactions. So as you were saying that, I was thinking about how brands are looking to, whether they're looking to message, to your point, 360, same message across all channels, or to use the example of what Frank does on Comcast, it's not a message. He just basically helped you get your cable service working. So that's an interaction. He's talking with you, so there's maybe you could say that's partly messaging, but I think that's interaction as well because it's back and forth dialogue. And then by the end of your conversation, your cable's working again. And so that's an interaction. So it's interesting, the two between messages and interactions work together, but there's a big difference between the two as well.
No more questions? Thank you very much.